The #1 MBA education experience in America, according to The Economist, offers courses to prison inmates.
A gentleman who was in one of our classes. I was sitting there and he said one night, "I'm very excited because it looks like I'm going to graduate from your program, and I was told when I was young that I was mentally retarded." And he said this to the whole room. And I was struck by this idea that you're in this room and you're interacting and you're seeing that you can learn and understand these concepts was for him a great moment. And I think this idea that he would graduate from this program was for him a very powerful thing.
I'm Kim Clark.
And I'm Pat Werhane.
We go out into the world to look at everything.
Topics such as food deserts, wage theft, and recidivism in jails.
Access to healthcare, education, welfare, major issues we face at home and around the world today.
Come search with us for answers to these issues and more
as we discovered new answers to today's big questions.
Charlottesville, Virginia, cited as the happiest city in America, is the home to a university with a historic pedigree. The University of Virginia was founded by President Thomas Jefferson, who created the school's unique architecture and sat on the initial governing board with President James Madison and then sitting President James Monroe. The university's Darden Business School is #1 in education experience, student satisfaction, and the best faculty in the United States. But what's really unique about Darden is that it has classes that take place in prisons.
But they both determined that a 4-year degree wasn't enough.
Okay, so 4-year degree, they're not interested. They're not going to do that.
The Darden Prison Project was started in 2011 by Greg and Tierney Temple Fairchild, who both earned their MBAs at Darden.
So the idea really was one that came out of a letter we received here at the school from an inmate at the Pocahontas facility. And he was preparing for release. He was writing about his interest in making an affirmative step in his transition. And he recognized that one of the things he lacked was an understanding of how the business world worked, and that he specifically hoped that he might one day have a business of his own and that he might employ some people who, like him, had been felons.
I've now been shepherding the programs at Fluvanna for the last, this is our third cohort. Greg comes in and he gives what I call the Darden spiel about the case method, telling people what to expect and that they should expect participation. They should expect disagreement, and they should be able to do that respectfully. And if they're not going to speak, we'll probably call on them, our famous cold calling.
There's 3 different ways you can respond to class. You can respond and get it right. You can respond and screw it up, or you cannot respond. And I know we tried to take that off the table for you, gentlemen. It's the not response piece. But I just want to encourage you. The goal here is to make everybody better, right?
So I haven't been to this class tonight. What am I going to see when I see this?
You're going to see a lot of discussion, participation from everybody. Everybody giving their side, their point of view of what they think, what they would do with this business. You know, how they would, I guess, decide how they would make money. But there's no right or wrong answer. But it's a lot of point of views. Some guys have good point of views that I take from them, and then some guys just lost like me. I'm lost. So.
Well, it's the second class. I mean, you got to give yourself some room.
I give myself a little credit. I made it in, which is a blessing.
That is a great. Darden currently offers the program at the Dillwyn Men's and Fluvanna Women's Correctional Facilities.
We take a case. We have case studies, I think 20, and we read the case the week before. If it's math involved, we'll do the math, and we'll just work through it together. So by the time the class is over, we all have a full understanding of the case. Okay. Any questions, they answer any questions for you. They're real nice. The first one was entrepreneurship. We learned how to basically put your business plan together. And on top of just the business plan, we learned a lot of financial elements that go with, business plans, break even, profit margin, a lot of different stuff. So not just, hey, here goes a business plan, you can do it, borrow this amount of money and that's it. They broke it down like, hey, sometimes this might not be wise to do this because you might set yourself back, and sometimes you got to take a risk.
So what is U.S. supplier charge of $825 per fly? Okay.
The final project for the initial class was to create the business plan of whatever it was that you wanted to do. So what I chose to do was open up a tattoo shop. Being that that was something that I learned how to do while I was in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's something that I like to do. You know, I don't think work should be work. You know, if you have a job and it's work and you don't like it, then you're just driving yourself crazy.
They're teaching us how to go about starting our own business, to be our own boss, to make the better decisions. Maybe not the best right off, but at least better decisions. And if not to own our own business, to be better employees to someone else, because we'll know more of what they went through.
We're trying right now, especially in our capstone program, to provide that extra support of the interviewing skills and those types of things that build that confidence. But again, it goes back to...
But you can't erase your record.
No. Well, part of it is about how you have that conversation.
Yes.
That's true.
Because you can't escape the record.
Right.
And you can't lie because people will find out.
Well, and we've been hearing a number of places and other states are removing the need to write that you have been a felon, but you're still going to get a background check.
Yes.
So now it's a very interesting question. So now I may not have to check the box, but when you do the background check, you're going to find out anyway. So how do I have that conversation? Yeah. How do I tell my story?
If you're going to open your own business, it's not just that easy. You also need to have, like, it's your business, but your personal finance matters as well. Like, the money that you receive is not, okay, everybody knows when you open a business, every dollar you make is not going to be yours. You have other stuff that you have to do with your money as far as business-wise. The personal finance really just helps you. I think it sets more stability, knowing more about personal finance, not just business-wise. I think it sets more stability in anyone's life. Because you don't want to be 50 years old still living check to check or still having to figure out, oh, I got to do this to do this. But if you have that personal finance knowledge, you're like, okay, I know I have to do this. If I put this little bit of money up, or if I don't do that, you know. Yeah. I just think this is a class that everyone should take, both all the Dardens. Everybody should take them. It's really helpful information.
One of the things that we said is that, you know, we, the three of us, couldn't afford to go to Darden because it's
yes, I heard.
How do y'all value it? How does it?
I can speak for only me, and I really, really value it because I know if I was home, I would love to do it, but I know I couldn't afford it being a single mother, basically, because that's what I am, of 3 kids, so I know I couldn't afford it, and I'm grateful. I'm upset, of course, in my own mind that, man, I'm in prison, but out of every gray cloud is a silver lining.
Before you did this class, what was life like here, and what afterwards is it?
I just wanted to work. I just wanted my time to go by, so I always had a school or work. I just always wanted to do something so I could make my time go by. But it didn't have any meaning, you know, versus Darden, one of the top 10 business schools in the country. I'm excited to say I was able to attend. I was here.
Initially, we were interested in knowing why Darden would make the effort to offer this program and why MBA students would volunteer to teach in it.
I think there's several huge challenges coming out of prison. One is financial. Usually have a ton of debt, not just from restitution, but also from processing fee. That's something I didn't know before I did the program, that the sort of processing fees of going through the court case get added to the prisoner's debt.
Okay.
So there's this financial burden. Then there's stigma, you know, that comes with having committed a crime, and even though, you know, the idea of prison is correction, you know, transformation, there's still that public stigma, so it can be really hard to get employment.
What I would say to somebody is, yes, there would be some folks that would be incarcerated in a corrections facility near you that would be some of the bad or scary or even mentally ill people that you might imagine. But there would also be some of the folks that I'm seeing that represent an untapped opportunity in my mind. And they would be there as well. And hopefully there'd be an opportunity for them to have the same type of interaction and the same type of engagement.
The buyers, in some cases, might feel trapped or inconvenienced to move forward with something else.
And therefore, who has the power in this relationship?
The seller.
Okay?
In prison, you meet a lot of guys who have a lot of ideas, call them wishful thinkers, but they don't put any action behind it. and you hear about them making these plans, and then they get out of here, they don't execute them. Or you have guys who have the know-how, like myself, informally how to make money, or how to organize, entrepreneur skills.
Yes.
And most of the time, the element that is missing is things like we learned in class, like how to organize and create a business plan or a business module, operating off people, opportunity, the risks and rewards, context, and things of that nature, the inner mechanics of how to operate a business, the tax codes.
The best part of this class is just learning new skills. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't think about, like, and then plus seeing the different personalities of what this person thinks or what that person thinks. There's a lot of smart dudes in this class, and they give a good insight. So I'm just taking it bits and pieces from here to there and try to use it my own way.
We've talked about this just before, but there are some people that can have a bad day and come to jail. There's other people that can have a bad year and they don't get in the same, just circumstances happen. I'm always amazed, just always amazed by the dignity and the kindness of people and the smartness of people behind bars. They're some of the smartest people I know. Do you think?
Yes, I do. There's a percentage of them. They're certainly here. And I have been very impressed by some of the stories and touched by some of the stories. You certainly don't wake up one morning and decide that I want to go spend the next 7 years at Fluvanna Correctional Center.
There are great challenges.
Yeah.
There was one woman in Charlottesville that came out and was in Charlottesville.
Okay.
And it took her over 6 months to find a job.
That's amazing, even that she could find one in 6 months.
Yeah, and it was challenging for her. You're dealing with sometimes difficult living situations, sometimes coming back to a community where you're around influences or around people that have similar challenges that you may have been incarcerated for. There are transportation challenges of getting to work. And so we try to do the best support that we can, but again, we're in the infancy of, and right now we're just trying to do what we know how to do best.
Yeah.
And develop this curriculum, deliver that curriculum.
I didn't really look at it like they were prisoners. I mean, it was not really anything that really crossed my mind. I mean, walking in initially, you saw the people in the uniforms and their denim jackets and whatever color shirt and the denim jeans. And you get a little bit uneasy for that first 30 seconds walking in, but after that, it really wasn't a, I'm a student teacher here and they're prisoners. It was more of, there's just some ladies in the room that want to learn and I'm there to try to help them learn.
This the power of five, the quarter thing.
5 forces.
5 forces.
Good. That's exactly where I wanted to start.
I figured that's why he got excited. He gets really excited about this quarter. That's why I was like, this is where he's going. I know this is where he's going.
All right. You actually didn't even need to hear the question. You
No,
could have
I could see your
just saw
face.
me that excited.
What did we learn?
All right.
You have 2 MBA students. Most of them, it's their first time teaching. Like each time we have started Darden class, it's a new set. I think this time we have 12 of them. They come 2 at a time. They're awesome. They're really, really intelligent men and women.
Why do MBAs do this? I mean, they don't get any credit.
I know.
They don't get any, obviously they have to pay their own way and go of their own cars. Do they get a certificate at the end? Well, no.
No.
Do they?
A
button, a hat? No.
It's so interesting.
T-shirt.
Right. We were thinking about what we'd like them to have, and we're just trying to keep up with just sort of delivering the programs, responding to some inquiries, and getting our infrastructure in place. Yes. Greg and I have offered a number of times, would you like to be compensated for gas mileage?
Yeah.
No. I think the reason for that, and I think those people that understand where an MBA takes you in your lifetime, is that even though it may for some be a bit of a struggle to fit this into their schedules, to you know, to pay for the gas that might be in their car. I think in the long run, though, they really see it the long view here. You have to see that, one, it's only emphasized to someone who volunteers in a prison environment how privileged we are.
Totally.
Right? I think for us, you realize that even when your life is difficult, your difficulties are, you can readily see that other people's difficulties are quite different, at least from mine and those students I talk to. And so when you think about getting compensated for gas, you think, I know that the programs, in our programs, people are having problems, you know, getting a calculator.
There's a wonderful exchange going on. So one of the oldest ideas in social psychology is this notion of what was called the contact hypothesis. This is the idea that one of the ways you reduce stereotypes is that you have a sustained contact between individuals that might be different in a way that they could in some way be perceived as equals. And while I wouldn't say necessarily that we're fully there with what we're doing, but when you think about 32-hour sessions, and you think that my MBA students then are with these men and women in prison for those 60 hours over the course of about 6 months, what you have is a sustained interaction where people are exchanging their thoughts and their thinking, and they're getting to hear each other.
I wanted to get involved with some kind of community service, and there's a lot of options out there, but this one was particularly interesting to me. The correction system, I think a lot of times that corrections word is sort of a misnomer. A lot of times it's just basically punishment. And everybody makes mistakes. They just had to, you know, potentially made a mistake that's a little bit worse than some of us, you know, in this room have made, and they got caught. So they needed to be punished, but at the same time, you know, when we want to release them, are they really going to be able to rejoin society and be productive without any kind of rehabilitation or corrective training? How are we going to be able to give these guys sort of a chance and give them hope? Well, we've got to invest some time and some resources into them and making sure that they have some kind of skills when they leave prison that they can apply and, you know, be good citizens, work, pay taxes, and be, you know, a positive contribution to the rest of society.
Everyone thinks that you have, like, you're just born with knowing how to shake someone's hand or knowing these little things about workplace skills, but you don't. The topics that I covered with the girls I was working with before Darden, and then the topics I'm covering now, are topics that aren't generally taught in school. Things like just workplace skills and like business acumen isn't taught the way math and science and English and history are, and so that's sort of, it's an interesting way to provide that knowledge and provide that education.
So ultimately the program, it builds confidence in people in here, you know, it gives us a better, you know, a respect of ourselves, you know, and a better understanding on what we're capable of doing. And I think that makes a big difference for us. Any chance that I get, you know, and I talk to people, you know, when the opportunity becomes available, we usually get a memo in our dorm areas, and I tell people, yeah, you need to do that, because, you know, the main thing is networking, you know, meeting other people of like mind. Two is the knowledge, because, you know, basically what happens, we get a bunch of case studies, and we're put in the mindset of the guys that are making those decisions. So, you know, eventually, because we're going to be the people making those decisions.
When I first came into Darden, they was explaining to us, you know, it is a UVA school, which is very high, and I feel excited. I feel privileged every week to say, oh, I'm going to Darden, or I'm going, you know, when I was in entrepreneurship, I felt good. My schooling, I guess, my whole life has been kind of low because of my comprehension and my shyness. But Darden has really brought me out of the whole shyness. And just being in Capstone for the 3 weeks that we've been here, I've came out of my shell a lot. And I think a lot of it had to do with the entrepreneurship and having to get up and do the debates and having to get up and do our presentations, which has really helped, talking in front of people and sitting here in front of this camera.
One of the prerequisites in being accepted into the program is that they have to complete a vocational program. And the numbers are staggering as far as the offenders that have completed all of our vocational programs, many of them several vocational programs. When I came out of public schools, I thought I could make a difference there. As a public school administrator, you're seeing the problems early on. But if all the mothers are locked up and the fathers are incarcerated, I think it's almost like a hopeless scenario if you can't do something to change those variables. And I think these programs are changing the variables.
Are you imagining getting out at this point?
Yes, it's frustrating because now I feel like I'm at the beginning of it's like I'm starting over because I'm at the end. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like the days are dragging. Being down to like 100 and something days, it just feels like it's just dragging by.
What's the feeling behind all of it?
Nervousness, anxiety. I have small kids. I have one child that I've never had a birthday with. You know, she doesn't know me too well. I don't know her too well, so a lot of stuff. Scared.
When you come out of here, you're going to have to recreate a whole world. Sounds like.
Yes.
So what is that? Tell me about what leaving here is going to look like for you.
Good.
Yeah.
It's going to look really good. It's going to feel really good. It's a lot of different emotions. Some of them I can't even put into words yet because it doesn't feel real. It's like I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be like, nope, you started back over doing 5 years. It's just something's going to happen. It's just, it doesn't feel real yet.
You have 70 days left or 70 months?
Oh.
You got it all down.
76 days.
76, oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, I forgot that.
Yeah.
Got it all counted. When you leave, you'll go back to your community?
Yeah, I'm going back to the community.
And that'll be all right?
Excuse me?
That'll work for you? I mean, the community all knows you, yes?
Yeah, I'm well respected.
He said they love him, and he claims. I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually true.
But they may love him because he was a drug dealer.
That's true.
And so there you are.
So this is the pro and con of that. So you have a release plan.
Yes.
And your release plan is when you work out with the counseling staff and the reentry staff of where you can go. Now you can't go. They will say, Kim, you'd like to move to Charlottesville. Do you know anyone in Charlottesville, Kim? And then Kim says, well, no, I don't. And then they say, well, in fact, Kim, I'm really sorry. You're going to have to return to Texas because that is where you know people, Kim, right? So, and you say, yes, I do, but I'd really rather try someplace new. We're just not sure about your ability to transition there. Wow. So that sounds great that you feel that. Now, Kim, can you get somebody in Charlottesville to say that they would be your recipient? They would sponsor or receive you. Well, no, I kind of don't think I know anybody like that. Okay, Kim, well, guess what? In your release plan, which of course then is where his parole officer will be and where he will be required to live, he will be released to the community that the staff determines is the best community given his goals. So that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
So Gilmore is not going to be able to not come back to Charlottesville is where I'm going.
Oh.
He wants to come back.
I know that he wants to, but let's say that
Even if he didn't.
There are all these little things, like all this money these people have that they got to pay back. The other one is if you came from someplace, and so imagine Gilmore's coming back to a reasonably sizable town, but imagine you were the felon from town this big, and now you're going to go back, and not only may you fall in the same people, you're walking around with your scarlet letter all the time.
Yep.
Well, they can't release you anywhere else.
That's interesting.
I suspect that
you can't get a release unless you come up with a good reason. You're going back to the same place you came from.
Do you have a job now?
Yeah. I'm actually the veteran in the department because it was a brand new department.
Right.
When I started working there, it was me and one other guy about to start another job.
Graduates of the program receive a certificate of entrepreneurship from the University of Virginia, which has great value in their communities.
This is a UVA community, so it's well known what one can acquire out of Darden's entrepreneurship program. It's very prestigious. I'm thinking they're in awe that we offer even a sliver of it here behind bars. So they're very proud, and the parents are here in groves to support them. And I think the support is the key piece. The parents begin to believe that they can do something special with their lives, that it's not a write-off, it's not a waste.
I'm a sales rep. I sell mattresses.
Right.
But I also have my own business, Archway Consulting Group. and I do mainly computer repair, virus cleanups, and things like that.
That idea came from in that program, you know.
Oh.
My business from right there. I just changed. The name has been changed a couple times, but the blueprint came through the program. A lot of people never thought to own their own business until then.
Yeah.
You know, the idea from there, what I took from Mr. Fairchild was, why have somebody else hire you? You can go out there and create your own.
Yeah. So what do you think you're going to be doing in 5 years, 10 years from now, something like that?
Hopefully retired.
Really?
Already? You're going to
Already, yes. I would love to be able to build my business to the point where it runs itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then what would you do if you were retired, though?
Travel. Yeah, I've missed a lot in this world. You know, expanding that program, I would believe it would push a lot more people to do better when they come home. They will have a better focus.
Some people resonate on one set of issues. They have a connection to the justice system and they know something about it. But even some folks that don't come from that place at all, when you say to them that the state of Virginia spends about $27,000 per year per inmate, recidivism runs at 30 to 40% or higher. If there was something that could lower $27,000 per person per year, there's a person who will just say, well, let's figure out what that might be. Let's get involved.
Let's do that. Never mind whether it's good or not. I mean,
right.
I mean, there's a good cost-benefit analysis of this that can work. And for some people, you have to argue that way, and that's fine. I don't mind that anymore. I've given that up.
You and me both. If the reason that you have decided to become interested is fiscal responsibility and has little to do with social policy, I'm happy to see you.
Some questions we've got.